Hey there everyone, welcome back to another episode of Walkthrough. In this video we're going to delve into reading passage 1 from test number 4, Cambridge 8, and it's called Land of the Rising Sun. It's pretty much, I think, is about some sort of attainment, as you can see the words attainments. So basically from the questions, I have in advance removed number 4. So before prior actually doing the tests or actually sitting the test or the exams, you just have to have the basic idea of the test format. So pretty much the goal is how it works is that when you're the examination, actually, let me just try to provide my speech more clearly here. So the question from number 1 until number 5, it is requiring for you to understand the main idea. So once you finish the main idea, they're trying to give you another kind of a question. It's called yes or not given. So basically the author is just giving you questions from that passages just to check whether or not you're attentive to the details. And after completing that, you're followed by another question type. It's called multiple choice. So while you are doing a multiple choice, I don't necessarily recommend or advise you to pay attention to the answers. It's much better to pretty much read the questions, what actually it is requiring for you to do. So for the purposes of this video, we're going to go one by one. We just go finishing first type of question and the second and the third. So alright, so let's commence with matching headings. Alright, so we want to read paragraph A. Of course, it's already answered for us, but still, we want to know what it is about. It says it is about research findings concerning achievements in maths. Japan has a significantly better records in terms of average mathematical attainment than England and Wales. So it's about mathematical attainments. So what it's saying, an attainment is something that you have achieved. So they're saying that Japan has more records in terms of mathematical achievements than England and Wales. So larger sample international comparisons, large sample is another idea of saying research, right? So maybe research findings have established not only the Japanese people at age 13 have better scores of average attainment, but there was also a large proportion of low attainers in England, where incidentally the variation in attainment score was much greater. The percentage of gross national product spent on education is reasonably similar in two countries. So how is this higher and more consistent attainment in maths achieved? So pretty much, once again, I keep using the word pretty much. I think because the text is actually pretty easy to understand. They're not actually referring saying research, but the idea is that they're giving you details, and they're trying, and the exams or the creator of this text is actually trying is just making sure that that you have to understand that I'm talking about a research and something like that. So let's just continue with section B, which is paragraph B. Alright, so lower secondary schools in Japan cover 3 school years, from 7th grade age 13 to the 9th grade age 15. So, okay, we just want to highlight that. Virtually all pupils, meaning almost all pupils at this stage, attend state schools. Only 3% are in private sector. Schools are usually modern in design, set well back from the road and spacious inside. Classrooms are large and pupils sit at single desks in rows. Lessons last for standardized 50 minutes and are always by a 10-minute break. Alright, we want to highlight that as well, which gives the pupils a chance to let off steam, meaning to relax. Teachers begin with a formal address and mutual bowing, and then concentrate on whole class teaching. So the writer gives an overview about the lower secondary schools in Japan, such as the number of years they have to study. 3% in private sectors, and virtually all pupils they study in the state school. And they're talking about the modern design, pretty spacious inside. That means big rooms. And they're also saying that 15 minutes with a 10 break, which gives them a chance to just relax or just pretty much whatever they want to do. Just take, it's kind of remove themselves off from the education. Classes are large, usually about 40%, and are unstreamed, meaning they're not divided. They're not divided by ability. They're not divided into group. So they're just mixed ability of different kinds of pupils. They could be genius. They could be intelligent, and there would be students or pupils with a lower comprehension rate, right? So pupils stay in the same class for all lessons throughout the school and develop considerable class identity and loyalty. Pupils attend the school in their own neighborhood, which in theory removes ranking by school. So they're saying that if there's pretty much if they are studying at their own neighborhood schools, which in which that school is not considered to be in a ranking. So in practice in Tokyo, because of the relative concentration of schools, there's some competition to get into better school in particular area. So there's a competition to get in a better school. Okay, so what is it saying here? Lower secondary schools, we just want to see if influence of Monbusho, no. Helping less successful students, no. The success of compulsory education, nothing about that. The typical format of math lessons, comparative expenditure on math education, background to middle years education. So middle years education, background. Middle years education in Japan. The key to Japanese success in math education and the role of homework correction. So the idea is pretty simple, right? The idea is really, really simple. So number 7 is going to be the answer for us. I'm just going to highlight that and strike through. And I'm just going to give it a number 7. So it's all right. So paragraph C now. Traditional ways of teaching form the basis of the lesson. So traditional ways of teaching form, I'm somehow trying to understand, is going to be about homework correction. And remarkably, quiet classes take their own notes of the points made and the examples demonstrated. Everyone has their own copy of the textbook supplied by the Central Education Authority. Okay, so Monbusho, as a part of the concept of free compulsory education at up to the age of 15, these textbooks are, on the whole, small, presumably inexpensive to produce, but well set out and logically developed. One teacher was particularly keen to introduce color and pictures into maths textbooks. He felt this would make them more accessible to pupils brought up in a cartoon culture. Alright, this sounds really funny here. I want to underline that. Besides approving textbooks, Monbusho also decides to highly centralize the highly centralized national curriculum and how it is to be delivered. So, everyone has their own copy of textbooks supplied by the Central Education Authority. Monbusho, as a part of the concept of free compulsory education up to the age of 15. So, the influence of Monbusho. So, pretty much, once again, Monbusho is the Central Education Authority supplies textbooks. So, the last sentence, once again, it says, besides approving textbook, Monbusho also decides to the highly centralized national curriculum and how it is to be delivered. Well, of course, certainly, Monbusho has a great effects or influence not only on textbook but also national curriculum. So I'm not really sure what is Monbusho, although I've been to Japan and lived for 4 years, and the influence of Monbusho. So that is pretty much number 1. So we're just gonna highlight that. So we're going to highlight it and strike that through, so to eliminate it. So we're left with D now. Lessons all follow the same pattern, once again. So lessons follow the same pattern. At the beginning, the pupils put solutions to the homework on the board. So I'm just trying to get a basic idea. Homework on the board. Then the teachers comment, correct, or elaborate as necessary. So what is it saying here? I pretty much think that I love the word pretty much. I keep on repeating that several times. It is talking about homework correction, because it is saying teachers comment, correct, or elaborate as necessary. Pupils mark their own homework. This is an important principle in Japanese schooling, as it enables pupils to see where and why they made a mistake, so that these can be avoided in future. No one minds mistakes or ignorance as long as you're prepared to learn from them. After the homework has been discussed, the teacher explains the topic of the lesson slowly and with a lot of repetition and elaboration. Examples are demonstrated on the board. So questions from the textbooks are worked through first with the class, and then the classes set questions from the textbook to do individually. Only rarely, so I just want to highlight that as well. So IELTS, they love such tricks. Only rarely are supplementary worksheets distributed in a math class. The impression that rarely are supplementary worksheets distributed in a math class. So the supplements, so they're saying that worksheets regarding math subjects is just rarely supplied. The impression is that the logical nature of the net textbooks and their comprehensive coverage of different types of examples, combined with the relative homogeneity, something like that. Homogeneity is a group of people with the similar status or something like that. I'm not pretty sure about that. We just have to check it. Renders worksheets unnecessary. At this point, the teacher would circulate and make sure that all the pupils were copying well. So yeah, come on. It just have to be really easy to. And I think that it's not a role of homework correction, but I think it is the key to Japanese success in maths education. So how would you understand that's the key to math education? So the thing that I would like to highlight here is that after homework has been discussed, so lessons all follow the same pattern. At the beginning, pupils put solutions to the homework. So put solutions prepare. I think solution is necessarily targeted to talk about maths, and what is that? Put solutions to the homework on the board, then the teachers comment, collect, or elaborate as necessary. That means there's a typical format, or there's a pattern of a math lesson. So a format is a pattern. So do we have a pattern? A typical format. There we go. And we would like to highlight that as well and strike that through, and the answer is going to be number 5. Let's go with the E now. It is remarkable that large mixed ability classes would be kept together for maths throughout all their compulsory schooling from 6 to 15. Teachers say that they give individual help at the end of a lesson or after school, setting extra work if necessary. So okay, they just help them. In observed lessons, any strugglers would be assisted by the teacher or quietly seek help from their neighbor. Carefully fostered class identity makes pupils keen to help each other. Anyway, it is in their interest since the class progresses together. That means if they want to help it, if they want to get help, so they just get it. Otherwise, it's up to them. This scarcely seems adequate, meaning it barely seems adequate. Help to enable slow learners to keep up. However, the Japanese attitude towards education runs along the lines of, if you work hard enough, you can do almost anything. I just really want to highlight that as well, because it seems a really good quote. Parents are kept closely informed of their children's progress and will play a part in helping their children to keep up with class, sending them to Juku, a private evening's tuition if extra help is needed, and encouraging them to work harder. It seems to work, at least for 95% of the school population. So, section E, teachers say that they give individual help at the end of the lesson or after school. This is a really, really good idea. Teachers say that they give individual help at the end of the lesson or after school, setting extra work if necessary. And also it says, in observed lessons, any strugglers, okay, would be assisted by the teacher or quietly seek help from their neighbor. This is a really good one. So, I think strugglers are about less successful strugglers and help to be assisted by, helping, be assisted by, right? So would be assisted by. I think this number is talking about number 2, helping less successful students. Well, of course, it's pretty obvious. All right, so it's number 2. We'd like to remove that as well. Now we're left with final paragraph. So what are the major contributing factors in the success of maths teaching? So this, they're giving a question for us. Okay. Clearly, attitudes are important. Education is valued greatly in Japanese culture. Math is recognized as an important compulsory subject throughout schooling, and the emphasis is on hard work coupled with a focus on accuracy. Other relevant points relate to the supportive attitude of a class towards slower pupils, the lack of competition within a class, and the positive emphasis on learning for oneself and improving one's own standard. And the view of repetitively boring lessons and learning the facts by heart, which is sometimes quoted in relation to Japanese classes, may be unfair and unjustified. No poor maths lessons were observed. They were mainly good, and 1 or 2 were inspirational. Comparative expenditures in maths. No, the key to Japanese success in maths education. Is it? Alright. I think the key is somehow that's a contributing factor, because it says so what are the major contributing factors of success of maths teaching? The key to Japanese success in math education, pretty obvious once again. So number 8. So is it number 8? Yeah, it's number 8. There we go. We remove that one as well. Highlight that and strike through. Alright, we were left with this known given. There's a wider range of achievement amongst English people studying maths than amongst their Japanese counterparts. Wider range of achievements. That means different kinds of attainments amongst English people studying math than amongst their Japanese counterparts. Okay, the percentage of gross national product spent on education generally reflects the level of attainment in mathematics. The percentage of reflects means to show. Private schools in Japan are more modern and spacious than state-run lower secondary schools. I think this is pretty much. I think this is number 8 has to be kind of a true. No, private schools in Japan are modern and spacious than state lower secondary schools. We're not sure about that. Let me just not highlight that in advance. Teachers mark homework in Japanese schools. Okay, so all right. Let's get with the number 6 once again. So where did we get the number 6? Wider range. The wider range. I think it's on the paragraph A, because. Alright, so large sample, so mathematical attainment than England and Wales. So again, but there was also a larger proportion of low attainers in England, where incidentally the variation of attainment score was much greater. I want to use yellow color here. This means that although Japan has significantly better record in terms of average mathematical attainment than England and Wales, that they're saying that English people have a wider range of attainment scores than Japan. So in England and Wales, it is common for some people to achieve very high score. So they have established that Japanese peoples at age 13 have better scores of average attainment, but there was also a larger proportion of low attainers in England, where incidentally the variation in attainment scores was much greater. Okay, wider, greater achievement, attainment, counterpart. So counterpart means counterpart is a similar person, but from different place or situation. All right. So do we think that this is a yes? So there's a wider range of achievement. I think this is pretty much yes or no. We just have to be really careful with that. I think this is a yes. I'm just going to explain that in a second. Um, but there's a larger proportion of low attainers. So what the question is asking, are there wider range of achievement amongst English people studying maths than amongst their Japanese counterparts? They're saying that um, Japan has a significantly better records in terms of average mathematical attainment than England and Wales. And also they're saying, but there was also a larger proportion of low attainers in England, where incidentally the variation in attainment scores was much greater. So this is a contradicting sign here over here. They just really want to highlight that. They're saying that at first they're saying that like better achievers in Japan had like there are a lot there's a lot of achievers, like high achievers, good achievers, and then they're saying but England also have those who get lower achievements, and that's why they're saying incidentally the variation in attainment scores was much greater. That means that England has much more higher than and those in Japan. So it is common for some pupils to achieve very high scores, while others have low scores. So it is saying Japanese pupils at age 13 have better scores of average attainment, but there was also a large proportion of low attainers in England. So there is also saying that percentage of gross national product spent on education is reasonably similar in the two countries. So how is this higher and more consistent attainment in math achieved? All right, so that's why it is number yes. So the percentage of gross national product spent on education generally reflects the level of attainment in mathematics. The question is, reflects the level of attainment in mathematics. So that means if you study, if you get lots of achievements, does that mean that you're good at mathematics? I mean, in terms of maths only. The percentage of gross national product spent on education is reasonably similar in two countries. So how is this higher and more consistent attainment in maths achieved? So that means they're saying it reasonably similar. The percentage is reasonably similar in two countries, meaning England and Japan, right? So the level of achievement in studying math is higher in Japan. However, the first sentence is saying Japan has a better record in mathematical attainment than England and Wales. So once again, the percentage of gross national product spent on education generally reflects the level of attainment in mathematics. Okay, that's a really good thing that we would love to know. So what is it asking here is that percentage of gross national product spent on education was reasonably similar in two countries. So how is this higher and more consistent attainment in math achievement? And then it's saying that Japan has a significantly better record in terms of average mathematical attainment than England and Wales. So I think it is false to say that percentage of gross national product spent on education reflects low level of attainment. Reflects the level of attainment. So first sentence, the writer indicates that Japan has a better record and mathematical attainment than England and Wales. However, the text is saying the percentage of gross national spent on education generally reflects the level of attainment in mathematics. That is a false, I guess. I mean, no. Okay, number 8. Private schools in Japan are more modern and spacious than state. Okay, we have private schools over here, modern in design. Schools are usually modern in design, set well back. So virtually all pupils at this stage attend the state schools. Only 3% are in private sector. Okay. Schools are usually modern in design, set well back from the road and spacious. So they're saying that schools, so the word schools here is indicating about it is talking about pretty much schools. I think it is not saying either state school or private sector, because we also have because we also have JUCO. I remember that, some sort of private uh, private tuition something. So schools, and that's not given, obviously. They're let me just write not given here. Whoops, not given. I just want to highlight that because it's not saying the word schools. Otherwise, if the word these schools, if they were saying these schools, then we would understand that if they're talking about private sector, right? So because it's followed by the what is that called? By a I really forgot about this name, but if they are saying, if they're using relative clause, the word these schools are usually modern design, then obviously the answer would be yes. However, no, we don't have the word these, so we're just not gonna risk that. Teachers mark homework in Japanese schools. Do they mark? So we remember that. Okay. Pupil mark their own. Do they? So pupils chance to let off. Teachers begin with a formal address. Teachers mark homework in Japanese schools. But it says pupil mark their own homework. It is not the teachers. So that is not. That is no instead of yes. It's not teachers. It is themselves. So now we're left with another. Math textbooks in Japanese schools are cheap for pupils to buy. Math textbooks. Okay. These textbooks are on the whole small, presumably inexpensive to produce, but well set out and logically developed. We have another one here. I just want to highlight that. When math textbooks in Japanese schools are cheap for pupils to buy, well organized and adapted in the needs of pupils. Is it cheap for pupils to buy? Is it cheap? Well, of course, inexpensive to produce, but not to buy. To produce means to make, but not for them to buy. However, it is cheaper for a production, not for buy, but well set out and logically developed. That means that they're saying it is cheaper. However, still there's a quality there's still for you a feature for you to buy. Well organized, written to be used in conjunction with TV programs. Of course, not very popular with many Japanese teachers. Of course, not as well. So I think B is going to be answer for us. When a new maths topic is introduced, what was a new maths topic introduced? After the homework has been discussed, the teacher explains the topic of the lesson slowly and with a lot of repetition and elaboration. Students answer questions on the board. Students rely entirely on the textbook. It is careful and patiently explained to the students. Patiently, slowly, carefully, and with a lot of repetition and elaboration. So this is going to be the answer for us. So it is usual for students to use extra worksheets. No. Answer C. How does schools deal with students who experience difficulties? We remember that it was they give individual help at the end of the lesson or after school setting extra work if necessary. They're given appropriate supplementary tuition. They're encouraged to copy from other people's. No. They're forced to explain their own slow progress. No. They're placed in a mixed abilities class. Are they? Of course not. It's not talking about whether or not they're put there. It is in their interest in the class. It progresses together. So it is still a mixed ability class. So because I remember there was a word unstreamed. The classes are unstreamed. It was somewhere around here. It is a remarkable blah blah blah. there was a word I forgot about. It's called unstreamed. We remember there was a word called unstreamed. There we go. Unstreamed means it is a mixed ability. So how do schools deal with students who experience difficulty? So that's pretty much A. They're given appropriate supplementary tuition. Of course, supplementary tuition. Supplementary is the extra tuition. So where was that? Teachers say they give individuals help at the end of the lessons and setting extra work if necessary. Extra work if necessary. Extra is kind of supplementary tuition. Alright, now 13. Why do Japanese students tend to achieve relatively high rates of success in maths? It is compulsory subject in Japan. But they're saying that education is valued greatly. Math is recognized as an important compulsory subject throughout schooling, and that emphasis on hard work coupled with a focus on accuracy. They're used to work without the help from others. Much effort is made and correct answers are emphasized. There's a strong emphasis on repetitive learning. Why do Japanese students? So they're saying math is recognized as an important compulsory subject throughout schooling, and the emphasis is on hard work. So the word emphasis is on the hard work. They're saying math is an important subject in Japanese schools, but Japanese students tend to learn hard. They make a lot of effort and focus on the accuracy of the answers. They need to achieve high rates of success in maths. So correct answers is correct answers. There would be okay. Is that true? They were good. They were mainly good, and one or two were inspirational. So success in maths, clearly. All right. Emphasis on hard work coupled with accuracy. So I think correct answers and accuracies. I think the numbers option C is the correct option. All right. So there we go, guys. We finished passage 1, and yeah, although I think quite a bit of an explanation in terms of explanation, yes or no given questions were still a little bit challenging for us to complete. However, I think you got the again the basic idea, the static idea of how yes or no given works. This is some sort of a mix of general English, some sort of in my point of view, although there might be other factors as well. In my point of view, it is just a paraphrase and some general English playing here. So anyway, guys, we pretty much finished it. If you have any questions, you can pretty much leave them on the comment section down below. Of course, 100% I will read them, and I will come back with a very satisfactory, of course, response to your comment, whether or not it's a question or just a some sort of a really good comment praising about me. However, yeah, there you go, guys. We finished. Once again, thank you very much for watching, and you have a wonderful time.